Hello and welcome to the Heaven Bound Sunday School class at First General Baptist Church in Truman. We all value relationships based on trust and respect. However, sometimes knowingly and other times unknowingly, our sinful nature causes us to hurt others with our words and actions, which in turn hurts us too. We grieve over the hurt we cause. We can ask for forgiveness from those we have wronged and seek ways to heal broken relationships. But unfortunately, reconciling is often difficult. We know it takes work on both sides of the relationship for complete healing to occur. We have all been found guilty of failing in our relationship with God. Sometimes knowingly and other times unknowingly, we have disrespected the one who loves us more than any other. Our lack of holiness needed a remedy, and God gave us one free of charge. All He asks is that we accept Him and His ways, and then reconciliation happens. Now, in the scripture we're going to read, it's going to look at the atonement process, which started during Moses' time and foreshadowed the coming atonement through Jesus Christ's all-sufficient sacrifice. Now, the scripture we're going to read is from Leviticus, the 16th chapter, and we're going to start in verse 11. And Aaron shall bring the bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself, and shall make an atonement for himself and for his house, and shall kill the bullock of the sin offering, which is for himself. And he shall take a censer full of burning coals of fire from off the altar before the Lord, and his hands full of sweet incense beaten small, and bring it within the veil. And he shall put the incense upon the fire before the Lord, that the cloud of the incense may cover the mercy seat that is upon the testimony, that he die not. And he shall take of the blood of the bullock and sprinkle it with his finger upon the mercy seat eastward. And before the mercy seat shall he sprinkle of the blood with his finger 7 times. Then shall he kill the goat of the sin offering, that is for the people, and bring his blood within the veil, and do with that blood as he did with the blood of the bullock, and sprinkle it upon the mercy seat and before the mercy seat. And he shall make an atonement for the holy place because of the uncleanness of the children of Israel, and because of their transgressions and all their sins. And so shall he do for the tabernacle of the congregation that remaineth among them in the midst of their uncleanness. And there shall be no man in the tabernacle of the congregation when he goeth in to make an atonement in the holy place, until he come out and have made an atonement for himself and for his household and for all the congregation of Israel. And he shall go out unto the altar that is before the Lord, and make an atonement for it, and shall take of the blood of the bullock and of the blood of the goat, and put it upon the horns of the altar round about. And he shall sprinkle of the blood upon it with his finger 7 times, and cleanse it, and hallow it from the uncleanness of the children of Israel. Now the sin offering was performed as needed based on specific situations, whether it be for an individual or for a priest or a communal atonement. The Day of Atonement, known to the Jews as Yom Kippur, was the most regular and significant sin offering occurring annually. What exactly is atonement? Strong's Hebrew Dictionary defines it as to cover, to placate or cancel, appease, cleanse, forgive, be merciful, pacify, or pardon. There's a price to be paid for sin, and that is death. God, however, is merciful. He instructed the priests to give sin offerings to pardon the people for the sins committed the past year. Forgiveness then was granted. So every year on this special day, the high priest would first offer a bull as a sin offering for himself and his household. And the priest could only represent the people once he made sure he was in right standing with the Lord. The priest's family was also cleansed of their unrighteousness in this sin offering. Israel's God was different from the pagan gods. The real God provided a way to ensure forgiveness through the blood. For the life of a creature is in the blood, and I have appointed it to you to make atonement on the altar for your lives, since it's the lifeblood that makes atonement. That's from the 17th chapter of Leviticus. Now the life was in the blood, so for the death penalty to be paid each year, the lifeblood had to be shed. Our scripture, beginning with verse 15, explains how goats were sacrificed as atonement for the people. You know, the priest was instructed to sprinkle blood 7 times. Number 7 in the Bible often represents completeness, perfection, and fulfillment of God's purposes, adding to the significance of this ritual, which represents purification, atonement, and sanctification. It ensured that the people were fully covered and forgiven by God. The Day of Atonement was declared a Sabbath of rest and reconciliation. It was to be a time for introspection, seeking forgiveness, and renewing one's commitment to living a righteous and holy life for the coming year, hoping for God's mercy and for God's blessings. Now, the perfect blood shed on Calvary's cross was that of God's Son, Jesus. His sacrifice was only required once because it was the perfect atonement. We too should have a time of introspection, seeking forgiveness and renewing our commitments to living righteous and holy lives. However, God's mercy and blessings are not just hoped for, they are guaranteed with our surrender. Now, the phrase, "what a day," can convey very different messages. It can be used to characterize joy or distress, depending on the demeanor and tone of the voice of the speaker. The Day of Atonement was one of the most important days of the Israelite calendar. Some students see a 5-fold purpose for the Day of Atonement. First, it highlights God's hatred of sin. Secondly, it underlines the requirement for blood to be shed for the forgiveness of sin. Third, it reveals how contagious sin is. Even inanimate objects needed atonement. Fourth, it uses types to foreshadow the death of Christ. And fifth, its yearly repetition was a self-demonstration of the need for a permanent remedy for sin. Now, on the cross, Jesus achieved in one day what Aaron and the high priests of the Old Covenant who followed him could never accomplish. The effectiveness and finality of Jesus' sacrifice was demonstrated visually by the tearing of the temple veil that set apart the most holy place. Now, the writer of Hebrews refers to Jesus' flesh as the veil that was torn to give every Christian access to the presence of God. Jesus is now our high priest, the only one necessary under the new covenant.